All right, so keyword here, perpendicular. We learned on Friday about the relationship of slopes when lines are parallel and the relationship of slopes when lines are perpendicular. So we know that to find the slope of a line perpendicular, we need to take this slope, -4/3, and we need to find the opposite reciprocal, right? I knew you were saying it. You can use your mics. Okay, so the opposite reciprocal would be +3/4. So now we need to write the equation for slope. Remember, slope is delta y over delta x. I'm going to circle my x's and underline my y's. All right, so I'm going to say 8 minus 2 over x minus -3. So I'm forcing my slope formula to equal my desired slope. Excuse me. So let's clean it up. 3/4 equals 6 over x plus 3. You might be able to just see the answer. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. I need to make the denominator equal 8. But if you can't just see the answer, then you are more than welcome to cross multiply. 24 equals 3x plus 9, subtract 9. Final answer, x is 5. Are we okay with that? Here's those homework answers that you had a whole weekend to work on. I didn't have the homework help videos up over the weekend, but they're up now. So do check out which problems I worked in homework help. So on the homework help 2, 6, 12, and 18 have already been worked. Let me know if you want me to work one of the other ones. What do you think, guys? All right, so we're looking at 17. We want to find the value of x through those 2 points so that it is parallel to the line through these 2 points. So let's start by finding the slope of the line we want to be parallel to. Y minus y divided by x minus x. So we have 2 over, what, -3? So we want to be parallel to a line with a slope of -2/3. Well, you know that parallel lines have equal slopes. So we want -2/3 to be our answer. And now we do the slope formula for our other 2 points right here. So I'm going to do y minus y divided by x minus x. Okay? -2/3 equals 6 minus 2, 4. Okay, and now I can cross multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. -2 times x minus 5 would be -2x plus 10. Because when I distribute that -2, the -2 times the -5 is where that 10 comes from. All right, subtract 10 from both sides. And it's looking like x equals -1. 2 divided by -2. One reason that this is on your homework is that it's good to spiral through things we've learned in the past. So midpoint is something that we haven't used in a while, but we know that there's a midpoint formula, and so all we have to know how to do is plug things into the formula. So we have a triangle ABC, and each side has a midpoint. R is the midpoint of AB, S is the midpoint of BC, and T is the midpoint of AC. And we want to find the slopes. I won't graph it, but I'll show you kind of what the idea is. So we've got like R, S, T. And they want us to find the slope of RS, and the slope of RT, and the slope of ST. Okay? So step 1 is we need to find the coordinates of R, S, and T. Let's find the coordinates of R first. Midpoint formula, if you remember, add your x's and divide by 2. Add your y's and divide by 2. So for AB, add my x's and divide by 2. 5 minus 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. 1 plus 7 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. I'm doing these in my head, so promise you'll tell me if I write anything down wrong. Okay, next one. S is the midpoint of BC, so we're using B and C. Negative 1 plus 1 divided by 2 would be 0. And 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, now we're doing T. T is the midpoint of AC, so I need to use A and C. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 3 plus 1, negative 2, divided by 2, negative 1. Okay, so now let's find the slope of our S. So remember, slope is delta y divided by delta x. So the slope of our S would be 4 minus 2 over 2 minus 0. So that would be 2 over 2, 1. Slope of RT, okay, y minus y over x minus x. That'd be 5 over negative 1. And slope of ST, 2 minus negative 1 over 0 minus 3. So that would be 3 over negative 3, negative 1. Notice that the slope of RS is 1 and the slope of ST is negative 1. So we know that my picture was not drawn to scale. We actually know that it was a right triangle because 1 and negative 1 are opposite reciprocals. So they are perpendicular. So that actually formed a right triangle, which is kind of cool. Okay, we are going to take some major notes today. Title your notes, Writing the Equation of a Line. All right, so we're going to focus on 3 different forms of the equations of lines. Here we go. Form number 1. Put number 1 by this. This one we already talked about last week. The first form is slope-intercept form. So put number 1, put slope-intercept form, and put y equals mx plus b. This is the form that you're most familiar with. This is the form where you can read the slope right away, you can read the y-intercept right away, and this is the form you will see most of the time. Number 2, write down a number 2 on your paper. Number 2 is called point-slope form. Point-slope form. When given a slope and given a point, you could plug it straight into the point-slope form of an equation of lines. Y minus y1 equals m, parenthesis, x minus x1. So point-slope form would look like this down here. You plug in a number where it says y1. You plug in a number for m, and you plug in a number for x1. And the y and the x remain variables. Correct, Neil. A lot of times you go from this form to standard form. You usually don't stay in point-slope form. I call this form the bridge form because it's bridging you to a different form. It's your bridge. You usually don't stay there. You don't hang out on the bridge. You're going somewhere, right? You have an alternate destination. Okay, last form. Standard form. Bum, bum, bum. Number 3, standard form. I call this like the bow tie form. It's the most formal form. It's when you want to be all fancy, you do standard form. Yeah, it's the formal one. You're going to a formal event. AX plus BY equals C. There's rules to this form. This form is so formal that it has rules. Write down the rules. No fractions allowed. No fractions allowed. And the leading coefficient has to always be positive. What's the name of the leading coefficient? Out of all those letters, what is the leading coefficient in this form? Leading. Good. A. So A has to always be positive. B can be negative. C can be negative. Those are fine. But A is the leading coefficient. It's the beginning. It's the first one. And so it needs to always be positive. Those are the 2 rules to standard form. Here's an equation in standard form. 5x plus 7y equals 12. Standard. All right. Let's do a little bit of a review from last week before we dive into today. I'm going to call on you guys. Very good. The M is 3. The B is 2. If y'all can use your mics, that would be great. Avanti. What's the slope and the y-intercept for the second one? Very good. The slope is 0, and the y-intercept is 7. Let me talk about it really quick. This is like saying y equals mx plus b. How many x's are there? There's 0 of them. So what number is sitting in front of x? Well, 0 is. So the slope is 0. It's a horizontal line. And where does it hit the y-axis? Well, if y is 7, it's going to hit the y-axis at 7. So 7 is our b. Okay, next. Okay, so we need to be really careful on this one. Yes, the slope is undefined. This is a vertical line. This is what this line looks like. Here's 0, here's 1. It is x equals 1/2. So it's between 0 and 1. It's a vertical line going through 1/2. Someone said the y-intercept was 0. Well, that means I'm going to hit the y-axis at 0. No, you're not going to hit the y-axis at all, so it's kind of a trick question. There is no y-intercept because that line is parallel to the y-axis. So this could have said anything. It could have said x equals 1/2. It could have said x equals 4. It could have said x equals -10. It didn't matter what x equals. When it's x equals a constant, it's a vertical line. And if it's a vertical line, then the slope is undefined. Okay? Why is there no y-intercept? Because a vertical line is parallel to the y-axis. Y-intercept means where is it going to intersect the y-axis? Well, a line that's parallel is never going to intersect the y-axis. Okay, awesome. So we need to solve for y. We cannot find the slope until we've solved for y. So we divide everything by 5. The slope is 3/5, and the b is 2/5. Thank you for not converting it to a fraction or a mixed anything. You can't do that. Yes, Kendra, you do have to convert it to slope-intercept form in order to find the slope and the intercept. Okay, Lily's getting -5/2. While she's writing the other one, I'll start solving it. 2y equals -5x plus 16. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So yes, the slope is -5/2, and good. The b, the y-intercept, is 8. Awesome. So this one right here was in standard form. All right, now we're going to actually write equations, which is the title of today's lesson. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. Let's start with A. It is super easy. I gave you the M, and I even gave you the B. How do you know that I gave you the B? What gives it away? What's the clue? That that point is your B. The 0, yeah. So when x is 0, that means that that's your y-intercept. That means that that's your b. Okay? So let's write it. Super easy. Y equals mx plus b. So that's pretty much as easy as it gets. All right, what about that second one? The slope is 0 and the y-intercept is 4. So you might start off by doing this. Y equals mx plus b. But then you're like, oh, well, 0 times x is just 0. I don't need to write 0. So this one is y equals 4. Is that a horizontal line or a vertical line? Y equals 4. Is that horizontal or vertical? Flat is a flat line. Very good. No, it's not sloping at all. It's sloping 0. Okay, last one is the toughest one. Now, what I would do on the last one is I would do point-slope form. If you already know how to do that one, doing slope-intercept form, and you like that better, then keep doing it that way. That's totally fine. But I'm going to do point-slope form. All right, so point-slope form. Okay, here we go, point-slope form. So point-slope form says, y minus y equals m, parentheses, x minus x. I'm going to give y'all a minute to copy me just in case you've never done point-slope form before. All right, so from here, we can't ever keep it in point-slope form. We want to clean it up a little bit. We're going to do some spring cleaning. Let's distribute this 2/3. y minus 9 equals 2/3 x minus 2. I hope everyone's okay with that. 2/3 times negative 3 is minus 2 because the 3's cancel. And the last step is to bring this 9 over. Y equals 2/3 x. I really liked 7s when I was making this lesson. For some reason, I really used a lot of 7s. Ask me a question about this. Next example, write the equation of the line that contains 3, negative 8, and is perpendicular to the line y equals 1/5 x plus 7 in slope-intercept form. That sounds like a lot of information, so let's just take it one word at a time. What do you think is the most important word in this whole sentence? Y'all are all spelling perpendicular wrong. Look at my spelling. It's a pin like you're writing with a pin, not like a pin in the wall. Anyways, okay. So we want to be perpendicular to this line. So let's find our slope first. The slope we want is the opposite reciprocal of 1/5. So the slope we're going for is negative 5. Okay, so we have our slope and we have a point. So when you have a point and you have a slope, you're naturally going to go to point-slope form. Point and slope. The more you do this form, you're going to get really fast at it, and you're going to get to your final answer really easily. Y minus y equals mx minus x. So I'm taking the y and the x from my point, and then we clean it up. So this really says y plus 8 equals negative 5x plus 15. Are we all okay? Are we on the same page? Subtract 8 from both sides. Y equals negative 5x. Why did I like this number so much? Plus 7. Given the slope and y-intercept, write an equation in standard form. Okay, now you always start with what you're given. Slope and y-intercept. So I'm going to put this in slope-intercept form. I'm not going to do point-slope because I wasn't given a point. Okay, so I'm going to start with this form. Y equals mx plus b. But this is the first time that they have asked us to write this in standard form. Remember what standard form looks like? ax plus by equals c. So we need to move some stuff around. Let's move, well, we know that there's two rules. The x can't be negative and no fractions. Let's always agree to get rid of fractions first. If you ever have fractions, that should be the first thing you do is get rid of fractions. So how would I get rid of a fraction that's 2/3? All right, so we're going to take the denominator. We're going to take that 3, whatever number is in the denominator, and we're going to multiply the whole fraction by that. We don't need to multiply it by the reciprocal print-off because we don't need to get rid of 2/3 entirely. We only need to get rid of the fraction. So we only need to multiply by 3. So we're going to multiply this whole thing by 3. So I'm going to have 3y equals 2x minus 3. Notice when I multiply the 3 times the 2/3, the 3's cancel, and that's why I was left with a 2. All right, let's move some stuff around to get it in the right form. Let's move the x over. Negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 3. Done? Am I done? I'm disobeying the other rule. This equation is disobeying like crazy. He's in big trouble. Math jail. All right, so to get rid of the negative, we multiply everything by -1 technically, but you're really just changing the sign. Final answer, 2x minus 3y equals 3. Good. Good job, guys. Given the following information, write an equation in standard form. So I'm given a slope and I'm given a point. So whenever you're given a slope and a point, that's a perfect hint that you should start with point-slope form. Okay? Okay, so point-slope form, here we come. Y minus y equals m x minus x. Okay, now we need to get this, whip this into shape, get this into standard form. So I distributed my 5. I'm going to move some things over. I'll move this first. Then I need to move my 5 over. And then I have a negative leading coefficient, so I multiply everything by -1. And final answer, 5x minus y equals 2. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but not too bad, right? We're just moving stuff around. We're using our algebra properties to move stuff around until it looks like we want it to look like. Just like when I clean my house, I move stuff around until it looks like what I want it to look like. All right, this one's easy. Write an equation in standard form, but notice your slope is 0. So if our slope is 0, so on this one, if our slope is 0, what does the line look like? Is it a vertical line or a horizontal line? If our slope is 0. Good, it's our horizontal line. Good. Is it a y equals line or an x equals line? It's a y equals line. Very good. So notice we could have done this. Y equals mx plus b, but we didn't really have to. We know that it is a horizontal line and it goes through 4, -2. It goes through this point and it's horizontal. So the equation of this line is really easy. It's just y equals -2 because it's stuck at -2 all the way to the left and all the way to the right. So when it's a vertical or horizontal line, you don't have to do much math. All the forms are the same. That's standard form, it's slope-intercept form, it's all of the forms. Y equals -2, end of story. All right, what happens when we're given 2 points? We're not given a slope, and we need to write the equation in slope-intercept form. What should we do first? You got it. Yes, find the slope first. First we need a slope. I'll circle my x's and underline my y's. Y minus y over x minus x. So what do we have? -6 over 14. -3/7. Did y'all get the same thing? Find the slope? Good. Okay. Now we want to write an equation of the line. To write the equation of the line, we need a slope and we need a point. We need a slope and we need a point. It doesn't matter which point you use. It's going to go through both of these points. I'm going to pick the smaller one and the one that's completely positive. The small positive one is the one I'm going to pick. So, point slope form. Y minus y equals m x minus x. So I've memorized point slope form. The more you do this, the more you'll memorize them. Yes, you can pick either point. Y minus 2 equals -3/7 x plus 3, because the 7's will cancel. The 7's and the negatives actually all cancel when you multiply that. That's nice. Add 2 to both sides. Y equals -3/7 x plus 5. Yay! All right, we are done. Your homework is called linear equations.